Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
The thing that is most misunderstood about sports radio is its function. It's not that you're supposed to look. There are shifts, there are day parts where if you want to get into the minutia, if you want to talk about cycling and what they do on special teams and all the other things that go into it, all the details that go into being an NHL team, there are shifts for that. There are hours of that. That's not what a morning show does. That's what a morning show isn't supposed to. I'm supposed to call someone or bring the coach on who will explain those moves. I bring the general manager on. I can bring on one of the players. This is what hosting a morning show does. I'm hard-pressed to think that going to work for a job that you hate, for a boss who sucks, for you getting yelled at every day and maybe not getting the money that's worth it to you. Maybe you have a hard day where you're outside every day. Hey, there's a lot of people in Western Canada that listen to that show that weren't just from Calgary. They were also from Saskatchewan. And you know, these guys would be out working the fields and so on. They wanted to get some laughs in with a little bit of the sports. So what you want to do is be an entertaining guy, and hopefully you have the chops to actually do that. And then on the other side, you call someone who can explain all those things better than I can, better than any probably morning guy can, because there's a reason why they're a morning guy, because they were probably, for the most part, in broadcast and maybe not a great athlete. Look, my background is weird. It's different. I played at a very high level of sports, but I also started doing stand-up when I was in grade 12. Freak and weird. I was a goalie and a drummer. All the weird stuff that goes into this brain where I hear the voices. I'm sitting there looking at a football game. All of a sudden, I hear Peyton Manning going, what he should have done. What he should have done was you got to pull that back. You got to make them read into when you're going to play action pass. You don't just run with it, dummy. That's not RPO. This is what goes on in his head. This is what I have going on. Bob Cole,
I get it.
All kinds of stuff is going on there.
I don't even think it's weird.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bain Norrie.
How about that?
Bain says, "Did I ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bain."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. That was a great night. That was a great story. Welcome inside your favorite daytime sports talk show, and we're live on television. That's Game Plus. We're live on radio, WQEE The Key, YouTube Live if that's your thing, and perhaps you've just tuned into the podcast. Gosh knows where in outer space you are on that. It's going to be big fun today on this episode number 953 of the program. Can we bring in the Moose, Darren Moose Dupont, please? He's in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, where I see it's still rather chilly. Moose, as I wind up my Florida winter, I'm exhausting my Florida wardrobe, as I told you. It's game day here today. Where's my belt? I will not be wearing this shirt to the Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers down in Sunrise, but I had to give you the spirit of the thing, man, because I'm going to be coming up to Canada soon. How's things in your world?
Things are awesome, and it is the best part of my day to be able to come on here and chat sports and kind of guess what you're going to be wearing. Often we match wardrobes, but I love that you're getting rid of the Florida thing, because that's probably not going to be on the wardrobe rotation in Calgary.
Listen, let's tell them what you said. Let's tell them what you said before we went here. You said if I wore this in Calgary, I'd probably get my ass kicked. You didn't say it exactly that, but I am. But I'm saying that. So, and I'm very happy, by the way, before we jump into what's going on, and I should tell you, we got Brian Ray going to join us, Dallas Stars TV host in hour 1 and in hour 2. Mike Wilner, the host of the Deep Left Field podcast, longtime host of Jays Talk. And I was just looking up some numbers from our YouTube page. One of the highest viewed and most highly rated segments we've ever done was with Mike Wilner. So Canadians love their Toronto Blue Jays. So on the cusp of this 2023 season, Mike Wilner will be joining us. But I'm very happy, Moose, very happy because one thing I love about television is I can have props. I never had props on the radio before. So I was starting to get a little worried, as you well know, because my Tough Tribe was running very low, very low. I actually went to the public store and bought some, you can barely see it in there. It's right down to the very nub. But I bought some moose, and then there was a knock at the door last night, and because I ordered this stuff a month ago, dude. It comes from Winnipeg. Remember when I told you that? I said, Moose, where?
Yeah.
Did you know it's in Winnipeg? I thought it was a U.S. company. No. It showed up, man, just in time. I have never had a hair product I love as much as Tough Tribe. The shine, the lacquer, all of it. I'm a very happy guy today. So I'm ready. As you often say, you're like, everything's coming together just in time for you to go. On all my various bouncing around. So it's happening. I got my Tough Tribe. I love not only when we can support our sponsors and partners, but when it works. It's not fake. I love Tough Tribe. If I didn't have it, I don't think I'd leave the house. Okay, can you hit the quick six show horn, please? And we'll jump into this. And we'll quit Mickey Mousing around. Moose, I'm going to run through Monday NHL leftovers and just listen up. A couple sentences on each game because there was some big games. I really want to move ahead to tonight's games, but Thomas Hertl scored the tying goal with 10.2 seconds to go in regulation. Logan Couture got the winner, 1:21 into overtime, and the San Jose Sharks rallied to beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-2. That snapped a 5-game streak for the Sharks. Losing streak. Nate Schmidt and Nino Niederreiter scored for Winnipeg. Big save Dave finished with 21 stops. In Buffalo, Connor McDavid scored twice, giving him an NHL-leading 54 goals this season to lead the Oilers past the Sabres 3-2. McDavid upped his league-leading points total to a career-best 124. In Dallas, Nick Ritchie scored a goal in his debut for the Flames after being part of the NHL's first-ever brother-for-brother trade. And Tyler Toffoli scored on a breakaway with 4.7 seconds to go as Calgary snapped a 5-game skid, winning 5-4 at Dallas. We got some Stars fans tuned in. Gosh knows we have some Flames fans tuned in. I want people's opinions on that game. Nikita Zadorov, Elias Lindholm, and Rasmus Andersson also scored for the Flames. Markey had 29 saves. In Chicago, Seth Jones scored 2 of Chicago's 3 second-period goals, and the Blackhawks stopped Ottawa's 5-game win streak. 5-0 Chicago United. Anderson scored in the third, and L.A. got its 4th straight win, beating Washington 4-2. When we wind it up in Vancouver, where Elias Pedersen scored the only goal in the shootout, and Vancouver recovered after giving up a 2-goal lead in the third to pick up its 3rd win in 4 games, 4-3 in a shootout over Nashville. Moose, it was a wonderful night of hockey. The game that I watched the most of was Edmonton-Buffalo, and it was highly entertaining. Any game with Connor McDavid in it is. But I think a lot of our BC viewers and Canucks fans watching on Channel 924 on TELUS, and also Kevin the Medium, a staunch Canucks fan. Moose, these are my thoughts. I'll get yours in a second. But I saw the comment from Rick Tocchet after the game. I just said the Sharks were down 2-0. They came back and won in a shootout. Rick Tocchet said, I think it was in between periods, had to have been between periods. He's like, guys, I know some of you don't have it tonight, and that's fine. Just don't hurt us. And you know what that means. Don't take a lazy penalty. Don't give up on your man. You don't have it. I get it, but don't hurt it. And they come back and they win. And I'm sitting here going, what great coaching. And you'd like to think in the National Hockey League that all 32 coaches are good coaches, but you can't argue, I don't think anybody can argue, that some buttons need to be pushed differently. We all know that. And I'm just wondering, and Vancouver is your secondary team behind the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'd like to ask the Canucks fans tonight, or today, do you think that Rick Tocchet is your guy moving forward? Because I like what he's doing there.
Yeah, I'd like to think that he is. I don't think you make the move mid-season unless you're going to commit to Rick Tocchet for the rest of this year and at least next season. I think, you definitely want to see what Rick Tocchet does with an offseason, when the players get to go home and then come back and start fresh in training camp with expectations and his message and everything else. So I don't think you judge him on results here down the stretch, but I think he's the guy in Vancouver moving forward. I don't think there's any question about that.
Well, I like that. He's getting paid well, obviously. Every coach does. Bruce Boudreau, I almost wonder if he really got a chance. He had just a little over a calendar year to turn things around there, and it wasn't happening. And here for the Canucks, I hope for the best for their fans and for Rick Tocchet. Something's got to break. Clearly, they're not selling the team. The GM's not going to quit. So they got to change something. And obviously, Rick Tocchet seems to be getting it going. Janelle's watching in Saskatoon, and she says, I shouldn't be surprised that we are talking hair products on this show with both of your flows. Thank you, Janelle. His is real. Mine's bought and paid for, but they both work. And I love me some Tough Tribe. From Andrew Stout, he says, happy the Canucks won last night. From Rich in Edmonton, he says, that was an entertaining Sabres Oil game. It was highly entertaining. And Roger in Calgary says, morning, Rod squad. Man, those Flames like to get the old ticker going. So glad they pulled it out, and thank you to Foley. So, yeah, everybody's all geeked up. It's a hockey country. Let's settle in, have a sip of your coffee, and let's talk about it. The poll question today, by the way, for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is, which Western Conference fringe team has the best chance of getting into the Stanley Cup playoffs? Producer Clark and I talked about it. We came up with Calgary, Nashville, and St. Louis. And the biggest reason is because they're the next three out based on points. And when you look at it, and the hockey people know, and the smart fans know, Nashville's been a seller. They've been dealing off their guys. St. Louis has clearly been a seller, and they're started the rebuild already. So of those three, Calgary's the only team that is even trying to make the playoffs. And other is the fourth option. But Calgary is leading the poll right now on both YouTube and Facebook. And I want to say this. There's a lot of hockey left. Oh, Kevin the Medium shows up. We just spent the opening 8 minutes talking about the Vancouver Canucks, Kevin. You might want to rewind. I'm not doing it again. The Flames, though. And then again, this is not Calgary Flames TV, although we will be live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on Monday. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. There's too much hockey. We talked about this yesterday. Nobody has clinched yet. The Boston Bruins are on the cusp of the greatest regular season in NHL history, and they haven't even clinched yet. Would this not be, Darren, the biggest screw you in history to everybody if the Flames turned it around and made the playoffs?
It would be something. And, the comment came up yesterday on the show, Rod, when somebody said, whether it was about the Flames or whoever, to say, wouldn't it be something if they turned it around just to get in the playoffs and lose out in the first round of the playoff? But the thing is,
Roger.
if Calgary turns it around and gets into the playoffs, they're just like Florida. I think you mentioned they need to go 14-4 down the stretch. Well, if you're a team going into the playoffs on a stretch of hockey that you went 14-4 on, you're probably one of the teams playing the best hockey going into the playoffs. And that's a team I would not want to meet in the first round. So if Calgary gets in, look out, because they'll be hot.
Yeah, as usual, my mind is jumping all over the place, but there's all different kinds of schools of thought. We talked a couple years ago about the Winnipeg Jets. It was, 2 years ago, the bubble playoffs? They lost 9 in a row going into the playoffs, 14 of 15, and then turned it around and swept the Oilers in round one. So there's an example of where your last 10 games don't mean anything going into the playoffs. I'm with you, though. I think it means a lot. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's an example of where no two teams are the same ever. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, big game tonight for the Devils at home against Moose and Clark's Maple Leafs. Should be a good one. I'm not. Oh, my God. Is this guy serious? I think he is. Logan from the audience writes, and he says, RP, do you expect Bedard to be drafted lower than first overall after his -5 game the other night?
Hot take.
Do you think he's trolling? Or is he serious?
Yes.
What do you think?
Has to be.
I feel like
he
serious.
has to be.
That he's
he
trolling?
has to be poking you.
Yeah.
Has to be.
You're not that stupid, are you, Logan? Logan Pizzi's the name. So he's either not very bright or he's a troll. I don't like the options. Kevin the Medium says, Logan, stop smoking the devil weed this early. Ted in Red Deer says, so really the poll question is what team outside the playoffs has the most talent? Read it however you want. The question is, which fringe team has the best chance of making the playoffs? And it's the Calgary Flames. And what Moose and I have both just been saying is, I shouldn't speak for you. What I'm saying is, A, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon, and they are good enough that they could turn this thing around and get in. And Mike Richards said yesterday, and a few others have said it, Jim Lang said it, who do you think is going to drop out of there? It could be the Jets. I could see the Oilers going into a tank. And as a matter of fact, headline at yahoo.ca right now. Headline, Avalanche approaching panic territory. So like an idiot, I clicked on it. Here's the headline. Here's the first. After one of the busiest trade deadlines in more than a decade, clubs continue to jostle for playoff positioning. For contenders, it's already a challenge to maintain momentum while integrating new faces. It's even tougher juggling for teams fighting for survival. We've really just scratched the surface of how these changes may influence playoff races. Blah, 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 blah. It's saying the Colorado Avalanche are panicking. I feel like when I had a panic attack when I jumped into the Atlantic Ocean the other day, it was a metaphor for what we were going to be talking on the show. Don't panic. I didn't really even tell you, or at least I glossed over it. The young guy, Brandon, who was working on the boat, he was very calm, Darren, and I know I did say this. I'm sitting there about to die and drown in the Atlantic Ocean, and he's like, you're fine. Happens all the time. Just grab that buoy and I'll pull you in. No big deal. What good does panicking do? All the fans want to panic. They want to, the media wants to panic. And what that guy did was just he just calmed me down. Yeah, we can do this. Calm down. Why do you want to talk about the Colorado Avalanche panic? Because I'll guarantee you Jared Bednar is not panicking, their head coach. There's no way. By the way, 2 minutes left in this segment, so I'll drop point 2. And then we'll break and we'll tear it apart a little more. By the way, if you just tuned in, Mike Wilner coming up later on today, the host of the Deep Left Field Blue Jays podcast. And frankly, one of my favorite Blue Jays broadcasters ever. He was such a jerk to callers on the air. And I found it entertaining. Moose says you can't be so mean to people on here. Why not? It's fun. It's entertaining. And Brian Ray, Dallas Stars TV host, he's coming up in hour 1. But tonight, in the National Hockey League, there are 10 games, and it includes a game that I've frankly been waiting for here for about a year because I missed them the last time the Golden Knights came in to Sunrise, Florida. It's not the same Golden Knights. It's not my Golden Knights. It's not Marc-Andre Fleury. It's not Max Pacioretty. It's not the team that I fell in love with, but it's still the Vegas Golden Knights. And Shane Hnidy was supposed to be on the air with us today, their TV color guy, the sheriff. My good friend from the 1994 Prince Albert Raiders, but he had to push his interview to tomorrow. But I'll see him tonight, and I just laugh at the hate of the Vegas Golden Knights, so much by the fan base. And I put that on Twitter. I said, I've got a little show. I need your input. If you hate the Vegas Golden Knights, why? And we got some very interesting responses from the Knights haters, which we'll get into when we come back. Plus, for Alex at the Game Plus Control Room, World Baseball Classic. How about that? That's in the quick
How about
six.
that?
Raptors, Atlanta Hawks, Derek Carr, Connor Bedard. That's what my friend Chris calls it, Connor Bedard. Would you wait 4 hours in line to get an autograph from Connor Bedard? XFL beating the NHL in ratings. Lots of stuff. We'll be right back. We're only a little bit into the warm-up here on Game Plus Television, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. and that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
It's March, it's madness! Capital GMC Buick Cadillac has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Capital has Sierra 1500s with rates starting as low as 1.49%. Over 400 new vehicles in stock, or drive away in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. They all come with a 150 plus point inspection and a 3-month warranty. It's March, it's madness! On now at Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, Saskatchewan's #1 GM retailer, capitalgmc.ca. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
We back. Your favorite daytime sports talk show is on the air. Game day here in South Florida. Can you believe it feels like 31 degrees Celsius with the humidity? It's 29 without it and 85 Fahrenheit. So much for the weather report. Just before we bring the Moose back in, Mike Yates writes in on the 902 text line. It's open. It's ready to roll. He says, the Flames came out with emotion last night, and Richie looked good. Hopefully after the Huberdeau pass, he gets a shot on the top line. Signed, Mike from Speedy Creek. Hooby-Dooby-Doo had 2 helpers last night for the Calgary Flames. Moose and I are not writing them off. Can we bring the Moose back in? Rich in Edmonton regarding me almost dying off the coast of the Florida Keys on the weekend. He says, that Atlantic in South Florida is an absolute joy to swim in. Oh, yeah, believe me, it's all on me. Jumped in. What a metaphor for life. Jumped in head first. Come back up. I'm like, these waves are, I don't have a life jacket on. It's pushing me away from the boat. That's what happens with a panic attack. Have you ever had one, Moose? Don't answer that. Just everything just crashes right down on top of you at once.
I know the feeling. And like where my mind would go is, okay, the boat's getting further away. Oh my gosh, what's below me underneath the water that I can't see? I need to get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, you got to come visit here in South Florida. You could actually see. It was like 20 to 25 feet deep, but the water's so clear you can see the bottom. That's why it's so popular, snorkeling and scuba diving. It's the most beautiful place in the world, at least that I've ever been. Anyways, So we are asking the audience, if you hate the Vegas Golden Knights, why do you hate them? And a nice lady by the name of Steph wrote me and goes, why would anybody hate them? And I'm like, oh, Buttercup, that's so nice of you to think that. But they're hated. And it's for a variety of reasons, whether it's from fans or other teams. Personally, I think it's because they've made everybody else look bad. They've made them look bad with their in-arena presentation. I've been to the games, as you know, as a guest of the Golden Knights. And they've got Cirque du Soleil performers dropping from the ceiling. They got fireworks going off, dancing girls. The game is secondary. And there's that. And then they go to the Stanley Cup final in year one. It made all the other teams look bad. So that's another reason why the hockey people don't like them. But as far as the fans, Garth writes in, he says, the mass love fest for them. They've escaped all criticism since they entered the league. For a team that's been getting further away from a cup, they always get their tires pumped. It's officially annoying. How about that? Janelle in Saskatoon, she's right with us this morning. She says, how can you hate? Loved our game there a few weeks ago. I guess she was down there. Tyler writes in and he says, officiating in Vegas is interesting. Oh, here we go with that. From Quinn. This is angry tweets. Got a new segment here. The name is brutal. Expectations for a less than 10-year-old team completely unrealistic. Social media is insufferable. And their away white jerseys are an offense to the gift of sight. I knew it. But I tell you, I can smell a controversy like a fart in a car. They might be the most hated team in the National Hockey League. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I agree. But some of the viewers and the fans seem to forget the Marc-Andre Fleury, Robin Leonard controversy and the knife in the back and the photo and the bad pub that went along with that. But as we sit here today, doesn't it seem like that kind of just went away all on its own pretty quietly without much after that? But that wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, and they bottomed out. They had the bad year, missed the playoffs. But they're right back. I don't know. It's a wild franchise to follow.
Sure. And the thing is, they run that team. All teams are the same. They do those painful things, expecting you to forget them. And we do. Whether you're a fan of the team, what are you going to do? Stop cheering for them? I mean, that's why I stopped cheering for the Oilers. But when they traded Wayne, that's just me. But we're getting somewhere. Bill in Regina says, I hate Vegas. I'm not a bandwagon jumper like all their fans. Swerve in Calgary says, clown show franchise that got in for $550 million. Seattle got gypped for $650 million. Rich in Edmonton says, hate Vegas because Gary Bettman gave them a gift horse via the expansion draft. The way they treat players like Marc-Andre Fleury and how they always seem to circumvent the cap. Now we're getting somewhere. The thing I'd heard the most from everybody was the expansion draft thing, that the rules had been tweaked to make it easier for them to be competitive right out of the gate. And again, as the Golden Knights people have said to me, that's not our fault. That is, don't come at us for that. The NHL didn't want a situation like the Nashville Predators that didn't make the playoffs for their first 8 years of existence. Look at Columbus. They're still junk. They've been junk for 20 years. So you can't be mad at the NHL for that, not the Vegas Golden Knights. Before we move on, do you have a last take on that?
Well, there's teams doing that already in these deadlines. And that's the advantage of being a team in a market where you're not reaching the cap. I mean, in the Ryan O'Reilly trade, Minnesota was the third partner in there to make it a three-way trade. And in exchange for keeping 25% of the cap hit, they got a third-round draft pick. I think it was Arizona that gets a draft pick in the Patrick Kane trade to New York. It's a three-way trade. He goes to the Coyotes for a hot minute. They keep some salary and dump him back to the Rangers, and they get compensated a late-round draft pick for that. So, yeah, that's how it works. And I think that's part of the game right now, and I don't know that that's going to be changed anytime soon.
Lyle in Toronto is watching on Game Plus TV, and he says, I feel for you, Rod. My biggest fear in the world is open water. Totally fine on the boat, but I wouldn't even be able to get in the water like you did. Thank you, Lyle. Well, as a certified recovery coach, as I am, mental health and addiction recovery, I've said to Darren over the years, you can't schedule feelings. If I'd known jumping headfirst into the Atlantic Ocean, I was going to have it was going to cause a panic attack, I wouldn't have done that. But sometimes you never know how you're going to feel in any given situation. And you need help, like the guy on the end of the boat, Brandon. Bill in Regina says, Rod, I'm an Oiler fan my whole life. Like, who just quits being a fan? That's sad. I did. This guy. And it's worked out great. You might want to try it instead of all the heartache they've suffered. Allie in Texarkana says, that was the worst thing what the Knights did to Flower. But they don't bother that much. They don't bother me that much. There are others, they bother me more, says Allie. So we're moving on to just point 3. Jamal Murray scored 24 points. Michael Porter Jr. had 20, and the Denver Nuggets scored the final 6 points of the game to pull out a 118-113 victory over the visiting Toronto Raptors. So what we're saying is the Raps had a 1-point lead and lost by 5. The Craig McTavish line. The Nuggets pulled down their pants and gave them a spanking in Denver. And how about this? Meanwhile, Miami got the breathing room it needed over Atlanta. Jimmy Butler had 26 points, and the Heat held off the Atlanta Hawks 130-128. The Heat swept the 2-game set from the Hawks and moved 2.5 games clear of Atlanta for 7th in the East. And the Heat took the season series 3-1, so they hold the tiebreaker as well. Tough being an Atlanta Hawks fan, man. Especially this year. Point 4, Shohei Ohtani hit a pair of 3-run homers in a prep game for the World Baseball Classic, helping Japan win 8-1 at the Central League's Hanshin Tigers in an exhibition on Monday night. The LA Angels two-way star homered in the 3rd and 5th innings. The World Baseball Classic starts Wednesday with 2 games in Taiwan. I'm going to move on. Point 5, the New Orleans Saints say former Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr they've officially announced the 4-year deal. Could be worth up to $150 million U.S. He's got $100 million guaranteed. Carr played 9 seasons for the Raiders and holds team records for yards and touchdowns passing. Vegas released Carr last month, and the Seattle Seahawks have agreed to a 3-year deal with quarterback Geno Smith that keeps the AP Comeback Player of the Year in Washington State. The contract is the first big payday of Geno's career. As we all know, after taking over from the traded Russell Wilson, the longtime backup led the Seahawks to a 9-8 record and a Pro Bowl appearance and a playoff spot, too. Thoughts on the quarterback news in the NFL or anything else football-related, Moose?
No, I think it's a good move. I think this instantly puts the Saints back on the map as a team to look out for in the NFC. For Carr, the money's good. He gets a fresh start in a good market. It'll be interesting, and what they do with that receiving core. So I'm excited now, and I think it's a good landing spot. So, yeah, now we wait and see what weapons he'll have and what this can do for the resurgence of Alvin Kamara in the backfield, who's coming off a bit of a down year. So I like the move for Derek Carr and for the Saints.
Rich, the Raiders fan, writes in. He says, Carr also leads the Raiders in providing its fans with frustration. Regarding the Golden Knights, Kirk says the hate comes from how they built their team from the expansion draft. They did a number on teams protecting their players. Seattle was not so lucky. No. To me, that is, to use my mom's term, good management more than good luck, if I have that right. Where's Ted in Red Deer? He says, I think Kelly McCrimmon is the best general manager in the NHL after years of being the best general manager in the WHL, in my opinion. And I've known Kelly since I was 16 years of age. I know how he operates. And I actually, despite what he thinks, do listen to him, even though we were sworn nemesis for a couple of decades. He said we're not doing anything different in the NHL than what we were doing in the WHL. It's just to scale. And he's talking about transactions. So honestly, man, you don't think that he was on the phone with Columbus stoking that fire, priming that pump to get. Yeah, listen, you get Jonathan Quick from L.A., and there's something in it for you. Right? So Columbus calls his Rob Blake, the GM of the Kings. They get him there. There's no way. Like, why is this not a bigger deal that the L.A. Kings got McCrimmon? Is it because they got so pantsed that nobody wants to talk about it because they don't want to make L.A. look bad like the media? I don't really understand. This was Kelly McCrimmon 101. Been watching it for 30 years.
Of course.
I don't know. Why is nobody talking about that?
He called the Kings, and the Kings, again, this is all hypothetical, but called the Kings, and they said, we're not trading him to you. We're probably going to play you in the playoffs. We're not trading him to the Vegas Golden Knights. He's not available to you. So he's like, okay, who's he available to? Yeah. You? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Okay. And then he sends Rob Blake a text message after with a photo of him and Jonathan Quick, arm around each other. That's how it works. He made a move. He's a smart guy.
We had a coach. At this point, it doesn't matter his name. He might be watching right now, but in the dub, and he said to our general manager, I will never forget. We were sitting around with our feet up in the lounge. I'm talking the players' lounge. He said, if Kelly McCrimmon calls for a trade, hang up. You're not going to win. Right? So anyways,
it's like going to a timeshare presentation. Don't walk in the door.
Don't go. And I'll get to see those Golden Knights here tonight at Sunrise. I can't wait. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
See you then.
All right. Dallas Stars TV host Brian Ray joins us next from Bally Sports Network. We're live on the Game Plus TV network. We're on iHeartRadio, live streaming on YouTube, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
It's March. It's madness. Capital Ford has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Save up to $7,000 on a brand new F-150. They have over 150 available right now. Or drive home in a new to you used vehicle. Plus, Capital Ford offers the highest guaranteed trade-in value, or they'll give you $500 cash. Get your hands on a new ride before they come to their senses. On now at Capital Ford. Visit CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, or 10 for $100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
You bet you. Talking hockey on a Tuesday. And in Dallas on Monday night, Nick Ritchie scored a goal in his debut for the Flames, and Tyler Toffoli scored on a breakaway with 4.7 seconds left as the Flames snapped a 5-game skid, beating Dallas 5-4. Brian Ray was on the broadcast. Dallas Stars Television. He joins us today from the Big D. Hey, Brian. I was going to call you a Razor, but as you know, there's only one of those. Welcome back to the RP Show, my man. Yes, Daryl Ray. Hey, it looked wild on my television, but it seemed wilder in the barn. What was it like last night in Dallas?
Well, I'm sure in Western Canada, for Flames fans, it was probably their best win of the season. But if you're a Dallas Stars fan, I mean, that was a punch in the gut and a kick in the shins to give up the game winner like that with 5 seconds left. And we were talking about it on our post-game show. If Dallas wins that game, you probably break the back of the Calgary Flames as they try to get back into the wild card perspective on things, just with the runway they have left and the points back they are. But if the Flames somehow turn that into a spark and they make a push here towards the final day of the season, they're probably going to look at that Tyler Toffoli goal and say that was the turning point that we needed to get back on the right track. So it's obviously whichever side of the coin you're on, it's two totally different perspectives. From a Dallas perspective, you're sitting in first place. You've bought yourself a little bit of runway on your end to suffer a loss like that and not all of a sudden be looking over your shoulder saying, uh-oh.
Well, and just to look at it big picture, I'm sure Dallas is sick of Calgary. Was it earlier this year they had a 6-1 lead in your place and had barely held on for a 6-5 win, beat him in a 7-game playoff series last year? I don't think you guys like the Calgary Flames much, am I right?
Well, it's not been a good recent history against Calgary. You're certainly right about that. It's you know what, with the Stars, I think the bigger point of frustration down here is, you know, they went on a little bit of a skid and they lost to Columbus, Chicago. I think they needed overtime to beat Arizona. Actually, I think they might have lost to Arizona as well. And you're looking at these teams that are outside the playoff picture and you're losing to them. Then you get Colorado the day after the trade deadline, and they end up thumping the defending champs 7-3. Then you come back with Calgary, a team outside the playoff picture that had lost 5 in a row, like you just said, and you end up falling behind 2-0 and then 4-2, and then you lose 5-4. So there is a bit of a playing down to the competition, playing up to the competition aspect that the Stars have shown this season, which can be frustrating if you're a fan. But also we've seen them have such a great season. You know, this is a team that people looked at before the season began, and you're thinking, all right, they'll compete for a wild card spot, maybe the 3rd spot in the division. And here they are trying to go neck and neck with Vegas for the top spot in the Western Conference. So as you have more success, the expectations are going to change for you, and they're going to get harder and harder. So it's probably more a big picture frustrating element of why can't the Stars put the foot on the throat of some of these teams outside the playoff picture, but when a heavy hitter walks in, they play their best hockey of the season.
And they don't have an answer for that. If it was easy, they'd let us all know, right? Hey,
Yeah.
I got to ask you this. Well, it's still leading the Central Division, but that wasn't enough for them. They felt they needed to make a move at the trade deadline. They got Max Domi. What was your assessment of his first game as a Star?
Really good. Really, really good. And, me reading up on Max Domi when they made the deal, sure, the knock on it was maybe a little bit about his defense, but you don't go get Max Domi for defense. You get Max Domi because you're looking for an injection of offense, and that's exactly what he's done. So just the two big stats that have jumped out to me, he's played 2 games with Tyler Seguin and Mason Marchment, and he's the 8th different player to skate with those two because that's how difficult it's been to find some offensive consistency from that line. And in the 2 games he's played with them, the line has a combined 5 points. So it's only 2 games, but you're obviously getting an early return. And then the other thing that jumped out to me, his first game was the game against Colorado, and he steps in with no practice, no morning skate because it was an afternoon puck drop. And it's his first taste of playing with the Dallas Stars. And I'm an analytics nerd. I do enjoy the analytics side of things. He had offensive zone puck possession time, the puck physically on the blade of his stick for 48 seconds in the game. That 48 seconds was higher than any average total of any other Dallas Stars player on the roster this season. He has the ability to hold the puck for an extra 1, 2, or 3 seconds to see if something else develops within a play. And by doing that, he actually created a goal opportunity for Mason Marchment, created 2 other key scoring opportunities in the second period. The Stars, and specifically Marchment and Seguin, they have not had a player like that to work with this season. So he's probably the most capable or most polished play driving, puck possession, offensively charged type of asset that they have to work with here. The early dividends are there, but that's the whole reason that Jim Nill went out and got him, is the Stars have been trying to find somebody that can bring that line alive. And if they can do it consistently, we're talking about the Stars having 3 lines that can score goals as opposed to 1 or at times 2 this season. Huge difference when you get into the playoffs.
Allie in Texarkana, who you know, she says, no matter what, I'm supporting my Stars, but it's so frustrating sometimes. LOL. Well, there's a fan. That's a fan speaking for you because you're a point off the conference lead. Do you feel like maybe the expectations are a little high, or do you feel like the Stars don't get the respect they deserve? Is there a little bit to that?
I think fans are greedy. I think it's as simple as that. When your team does well, you want more. Everybody wants their team to go 82-0. Look, regardless of what the situation is, everybody wants their team to go 82-0. So I think the expectations changed because the Stars proved they were a better team as things went along this year. And I don't think that's a bad thing. If people look at you one way before the season begins, and then you start to show a consistent improvement or a consistent elevation to what people thought you were, I think it's more than fair for the expectations to change then, saying, well, you're better than what we initially thought, but that means you're going to have more demanded from you. And I think there's more demanded from the Stars right now. That this isn't a blip on the radar that they've sat at the top of the Central Division as long as they have. They're a competitive hockey team. Some of the internal and external additions they made them a better hockey team. Pete DeBoer has obviously brought a different style of play that has also unlocked some of the offensive struggles. So with that, if you're good enough to be within 1 point or battling within 1 point of the top of the Western Conference, it's fair for people then to start expecting you to win the Western Conference because you've proven you're capable of doing it. So look, fans are greedy. The Stars have proven they're a great team this year. And I think it's fair for the expectations to move up for this team because that's the challenge that they wanted to meet.
Well, certainly it's lining up for what appears to be the best playoffs. And they're always good, but it appears like they're going to be better than ever. Brian, thanks for the time. Love watching you. Appreciate it. Good luck down the road.
Rod, always good to talk to you. Hope you guys are doing well up there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Brian Ray, Dallas Stars Television. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. We're live on Game Plus TV, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
It's March. It's madness. Capital Ford has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Save up to $7,000 on a brand new F-150. They have over 150 available right now. Or drive home in a new to you used vehicle. Plus, Capital Ford offers the highest guaranteed trade-in value, or they'll give you $500 cash. Get your hands on a new ride before they come to their senses. On now at Capital Ford. Visit CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Glad to have you aboard on this Tuesday. It's just me in this segment. The Moose will be with us next hour. Here's the way my mind works. Brian Ray just with us, Dallas Stars TV host. And I know the radio people don't get this, but he said, people listening on radio right now on the key, but he's like, hey, stay safe up there. What do you say? Stay warm. And I'm sitting here in a Magnum PI shirt, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius with the humidity. I'm at Sunrise, dude. The point is, he thinks I'm dressed like Tom Selleck in minus 26. I wouldn't wear this in the winter unless it was a Halloween party. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. We move on. A sports update on this Tuesday. The Western Hockey League announced that Regina Pats defenseman Stanislav Svozil has been named WHL Player of the Week. The Columbus Blue Jackets prospect led all Dub defensemen with 8 points, posting 6 primary assists as God's team posted a 2-1 record this past week. Meanwhile, Blades netminder Austin Elliott has been named WHL Goalie of the Week. Their product of Strathmore, Alberta, posted a 2-0 record for Saskatoon this past week to go along with a 1.50 GAA and 941 save percentage. I love me some Strathmore, Alberta. I always stop at that gas station right on the southwest corner of town, right when I'm coming through, headed back to the 306. Very nice staff in there, especially if you hit the 9 to 5 hours. Nice lady that works in there in Strathmore. I think it's an Esso. And there's a great billboard for Alberta beef right on the other side of the highway, the Trans-Canada, with a big photo of Brian Sutter and his dog. I stopped one day to take a picture of that. 3 Canadian teams hit the ice tonight in NHL play. The Montreal Canadiens will look to snap a 3-game losing skid when they host the Metropolitan Division leading Carolina Hurricane. The Toronto Maple Leafs pay a visit to New Jersey, and the Calgary Flames are at Minnesota. Next hour, we'll look even more deeply into tonight's games in the National Hockey League. I'm really having a lot of fun with why people hate the Vegas Golden Knights. I was about to say they're the most hated team in the National Hockey League, but then I thought about Toronto. Whoop. The Toronto Raptors have the day off after falling to 1-2 on their 5-game road trip on Monday night. Toronto was handed a 118-113 loss by the Western Conference leading Denver Nuggets. The Raps will next play the LA Clippers Tuesday. Here come the Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks last night here in Miami, 130-128. And it gave the Heat a significant leg up for 7th in the Eastern Conference. People asking if I'm going to go to the Miami Heat games or even the Hawks, at least when they're in town here. How about no? No. I'm just happy with my Panthers and Dolphins. Thank you. This sports update is for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now. 80 for Brady. It's inspired by the true story of 4 best friends living their best life when they take a wild trip to the 2017 Super Bowl to see their hero, Tom Edward Brady. Starring Academy Award nominee Lily Tomlin, Academy Award winner Jane Fonda, Academy Award winner Rita Moreno, and Academy Award winner Sally Field, with 7-time Super Bowl champion and producer Tom Brady. By the way, I want to get into this next hour with Moose. Who's quarterback in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next year with Tom Dunn? Do you know, Clark? That's okay. It's okay. We'll talk about it in the break. Ryan from New York says, was it 4A Alberta beef? See, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to getting back to Canada. Going to spend some time in Alberta, some time in Saskatchewan. I'm hoping Toronto and Winnipeg as well. But I remember getting that roast beef meal in the Saddle Dome. Remember that? Obviously, Ryan does. A year ago. Last minute of play in hour 1. Guy gave me the tray of beef, and I said, is this Alberta beef? And he goes, 4A. And I said, you can't BS at BS, or there's no such thing as 4A beef. Stop. Calgary guys. What do you think? Who do you think you're talking to? BW in Edmonton says, I always thought that Alberta beef sign looked like a Sutter. Thanks, RP. Well, they all look the same. The question is, who was it? But I knew it was Brian. I've sat at his kitchen table. In Sylvan Lake. So, we got to get to that NFL stuff. My question, Clark, was who's going to quarterback the Buccaneers next year? So, we'll do some NFL talk, maybe some CFL talk about the upcoming new ownership of the Alouettes. Interesting story there. Lots on the ball right after this quick pause on Game Plus and WQE.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for 25, 3 for 60, or 10 for 100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bane Norrie.
How about that?
Bane says, "I'd ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bane."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
Like,
this is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, coming at you live on Game Plus, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and your southern home of sports and talk. That's the radio, 99.1 WQEE in Noonan. Darren Moose-Dupont is with us, and just to continue the theme, for those that just tuned in, you've missed a lot of fun. It was a very big night in the National Hockey League last night, and I did not even mention the absolute worst. The second worst thing that could have happened to the Calgary Flames did happen. And that was the teams above them all got points. The Oilers won. The Jets got a loser point. The only way that could have been worse for the Flames is if they had lost two. But they didn't. They scored with 4.7 seconds left in Dallas, Tyler Toffoli. And away we go. They're at Minnesota tonight. Darren, I was asking, as you know, asking people, if you hate the Vegas Golden Knights, why? Because I see a lot of it on social media. I hear it from fans on the street. And so far, we haven't got any good reasons, by the way. We haven't got any good reasons. I'm actually glad I put that question out there because I just realized it's just typical societal hate right now. The expansion draft rules is the one thing, but I didn't hear a lot of that. It's their social media account is cocky. The expectations are too high. Their white jerseys are gross. It's all dumb stuff. There's no good reason to not like the Vegas Golden Knights, and the reason I'm bringing that up is I can't wait to watch the Vegas Golden Knights tonight live here in Sunrise, Florida against the Florida Panthers in a game which they're pretty much must win the rest of the way for the Panthers. Now, Darren, I promised I would ask you a football question and get your take on it. And just ahead of that, T. Will is watching in Winnipeg right now. They lost to San Jose last night in extra time. He says, being in Winnipeg right now, Rod, I wouldn't be too heartbroken if I couldn't make it here if I were you. Now, I just looked it up. -20 with the wind chill in Winnipeg. I would like to get to Winnipeg this spring, just not right now. That's it. But we love us some Winnipeg. And I said, who's the Bucs quarterback if it's not Tom Brady? Which it's not Tom Brady. Tom's retired. I don't understand why there's no talk about that. So Ryan in New York, who doubles as our fact checker. Thank you, Ryan. And archivist. He says, right now, the Buccaneers quarterback depth chart is Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask. I suspect they'll be shopping for a quarterback in free agency because if they don't, yikes. I don't understand why they weren't in on Derek Carr. I didn't even hear his name tied to Tampa. I don't hear anybody's name tied to Tampa Bay. Do you?
No, I don't. And this is a Tampa team that, they took a step back last year, and got bounced pretty early in the playoffs, Dallas to the Dallas Cowboys. But here's a group who's got some of the pieces to potentially get back fairly quickly. Good receiving core, Godwin, Evans, and the rest of that group. They've got weapons. They're really a quarterback away from getting that going again. So, I'm surprised. Perhaps they're a team that might make a splash at the draft and give away a bunch of assets and draft picks in order to move up and get one of the coveted rookies that are out there, whether that's C.J. Stroud, whether it's Bryce Young, or whether it's the quarterback from Florida, the Gators, who shot combine. You get him a little bit later in the first round, maybe in the second round, but maybe that's their plan. But you're right. I've heard nothing about this situation at all.
It's quite interesting, man. It's quite interesting. Randy from Winnipeg writes in and says, I heard Phillip Rivers wants to play again. 2 teams looked at him before the playoffs. Breaking news, Phillip Rivers is going to always want to play again. Talk to any retired football player. They're always going to want to play again. For the older football, they don't go by what he says. Phillip Rivers struggled when he did play. Talking about coming back 2 years out. I remember this. I realized that, and hockey players aren't a whole lot different than football players, but the football players are worse. You got to largely drag them kicking and screaming from the field. And I remember this, Dupes. You remember the old swamp dog, Ron Estee? I just talked to his wife a couple weeks ago. He was the defensive line coach for the Riders for years, and he felt like family to me. And his wife's Debbie, and they're living down there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he won. He was on those Eskimo teams, the 5 in a row, 70s as well, iconic Edmonton team. So the people in Edmonton would know the name Ron Estee. He's in the Eskimos Hall of Fame, Canadian Football Hall of Fame, LSU Tigers Hall of Fame. He's in every Hall of Fame. And he was the guy that talked like the water boy in the water boy. Who was the coach you couldn't understand? Was it the coach? Bobby Boucher? Swamp,
Yeah.
we could never understand him. He had this southern drawl. We couldn't understand him. But I remember one time, Estee, when he was with us with Saskatchewan, he said he would cut one arm, we'll win one point. We're like, what? You put subtitles under that? And I can't remember. One of the other coaches said he'd cut his arm off to have just one more play. That's a Hall of Famer right there.
Yeah.
And did I ever tell you, just speaking of Este's arms, here's the beautiful quick story. This is what sets this show far different apart from the others. Did I ever tell you he had a tattoo of an R on his arm? An R? Did I tell you that? An R.
No.
He said one night they were having a house party at Tom Wilkinson's place, the quarterback, a party, and they started giving each other tattoos. This was in the 70s. So he got an R, and I said, what's the R stand for? He goes, it's from a right arm, from a right arm. I said, but you don't have an L on your left arm. Why would you have an R here but not an L there? He goes, well, if I know this is my right arm, I don't need to be told which one's my left arm. Can you believe this?
He needed it so he could remember.
Yeah. Eesh. Jen from the Four Seasons says, so Aaron is going to have talks with the Jets. Oy vey. Don't you love how you being the branding specialist for the NFL, people are just referring to these guys by their first names. And the other thing is we know who she's talking about.
I know.
Aaron. There's only one, Aaron. And so he's going to talk to the Jets now. They were in on Derek Carr, from what I understand. And trust me, this ain't the NFL show, but we talked hockey for all of hour one. So we'll talk a little football here right now. I guess my point is every single day on ESPN, they've been talking about Aaron Rodgers and his whereabouts and a little bit of Derek. Nothing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not having a quarterback. I don't get it. It's like a narrative's being pushed. Why? And I don't understand why Derek Carr wouldn't even be talking to them. By the way, on that Vegas thing, T. Will's watching in Winnipeg, and he says, I was chatting with a Vegas fan back in 2018 when they were playing the Jets, and he felt that since Vegas never had a team before, they deserved the cup more than we did. I hate the entitlement. But again, that isn't necessarily their fault. But the thing people are writing, Darren, in on Twitter saying, Gary loves them. Gary's got a love in for them. And Gary this, Gary that. And team photographer for the Golden Knights wrote in, and he goes, well, Gary's on the payroll. We're like, they're talking about Gary Bettman, not Gary Lawless. They don't even get that. So I'm starting to understand. Do you need to be dyed-in-the-wool hockey fans to cheer for a team? I don't think so. But the point is they don't know what they don't know. Fair?
That's fair. They don't know what they don't know. And the thing about the expansion draft with Vegas is that look at Columbus. You know, really have had trouble being relevant, being good. They've never really recovered. Now, a lot of that is just drafting, management, all of that. I mean, Nashville's had some success since coming into the league, but they really wanted to ensure that a new market didn't spend a bunch of money in a franchise fee and a expansion fee and all that, and then just struggle for years and years and years and years and years. They want to make sure that teams coming into the league can have business success. And to have business success, we know you need to win. And it's not like they had an advantage, but they took advantage of the rules that were there, and they got creative, very creative in how they, acquired draft picks and accelerated the expansion process, and good on them for that. Seattle learned from it, looked at it, but so did the rest of the league, and they weren't as fortunate. So it's the way it goes. It's sports.
I think the Golden Knights could give a TED Talk in how to ignore the noise. Because, number one, they hired the two best general managers they could in George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon, and they McCrimmoned the entire NHL. So it's not even, they don't get credit for what they did landing up in the Stanley Cup final their first year. And frankly, I don't think Gary Bettman had a problem with that either. It was one of the greatest stories in NHL history. That's a fact. And because they duped everybody, that's not their fault. Do you blame the hustler, or do you blame yourself for being duped around the pool table? Blame yourself. I should have known.
Don't hate the player, right? Hate the game.
There you go. On the text line, 902-518-3033. Brenton in Saskatoon writes in. He says, good day, Rod. Has the NHL playoff format changed at all this year? That's a hard no. Signed, Brento in Saskatoon. No, the NHL playoff format has not changed this year. But they'll probably fidget with it down the line to make sure the Leafs get a more favorable matchup moving past this year.
Hot take.
By the way, everybody, Darren and I have said we're not giving, it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Visualize a positive outcome. Maybe the Flames need to rely on numerology.
Beautiful.
People have written off the Flames, and the reason we talk so much Flames here is we broadcast half the year from Cowtown, or at least last year we did. They don't even have the playoff matchups up yet on the Score app. You know when they do that? I don't know when they start doing that, but they haven't started that yet. The Oilers have 17 games left. The Flames have 18 games left. Nobody's clinched a spot yet, and that includes the Boston Bruins, and the Score has not put up their... Because that's fun. That's really fun. You know, they do all the math, and it's right there in the app for you, who the teams will face with the first-round playoff pairings. Or they haven't even done that yet. So yeah. I guess that's just nature, Darren. Is it not why fans would be writing off their team? It would suck to be with the Flames right now when your own fans don't believe in you. But it is what it is.
Be horrible. But you got to stick with them. It could get real fun if they go on a run here down the stretch. But, they win one, then they lose two. And then they're going to win. They got to go on a run here. Simple.
Oh, yeah. They know that. And the Flames were at Minnesota tonight. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in and says, "Me again. Please talk about Trevor Bauer. No one else will. The Jays should be all over this. Kobe gets away with rape and is celebrated. Bauer was cleared of all charges. What's going on?" I'm not talking about it, Trevor, Darcy, because I don't know enough about it. Please don't come here for Major League Baseball opinions. I was thinking about that this morning. Whether it be Darren Dreger or Dave Naylor or Adam Schefter, would you ask them what they think about the Major League Baseball new rules? It's not what we do here. Go pester somebody that talks about baseball every day. I appreciate him asking, but how many times do I have to? He's like, "Me again? Can you talk about Trevor Bauer?" No, I don't want to. Jeez. Ted in Red Deer says, if you want to see how not to have an expansion franchise, see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good for the NHL. Right over my head on that one, Ted. What are you talking about? The Buccaneers have been in the NFL for over 50 years. Like, I'm old. I'm 50. I'm not a kid. So why? I don't understand. What do you mean? We're not even talking about the Buccaneers as an expansion team. We don't talk about the Lightning as an expansion team anymore. Tank Abbott in the Energy City says, "You do the watching, Rod does the talking. That's the deal."
How about that?
I want to talk about the Leafs at the Devils tonight. How about, you're going to have to speak for all Leafs fans, Moose. What's your thought on that one tonight?
Another litmus test. And these are all litmus tests down the road, especially when you're taking on good teams, whether it's the Devils or whoever it might be on any given night. But, just interested to see where this group goes and how they start gelling. We've learned this morning that Ryan O'Reilly, I believe, had successful finger surgery for the broken finger, but it's a 4-week absence for Ryan O'Reilly. So you just got excited about him. Now we're going to be without him for 4 weeks, but that means he'll be back for the end of the regular season, and he'll be back for the playoffs, which will start middle of April, I think around the 17th or 18th of April. That's unfortunate, but it gives other guys an opportunity to get into the lineup. So that's where we're sitting now as we head into the game tonight.
Every game's a big game. I put on my social media here about Vegas being in Florida tonight. My buddy Jeff, you know him, Jeff Pearson, wrote me back, and he's like, "Big game." I'm like, they're all big now. I don't know what. I'm not even looking at it from a Vegas perspective. I'm looking at it from a Florida Panthers perspective, where they're down to 18 games left, and their color guy, Randy Moeller, who's going to be on this show on Thursday, says they got to go 14-4. So not everybody's going to get in. And I guess before we break here, the poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center. Capital has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. Which Western Conference bubble team, fringe team, has the best chance of getting into the Stanley Cup playoffs? And here's a poll for once the Calgary Flames are running away with. It's between Calgary, St. Louis, Nashville, or other, and the Flames are running away with it. Like, it's there for them. And for anybody to say, oh, somebody's got to drop out of the running, that could be the Jets. That could be the Oilers. That could be Colorado. So they can't give up. And we got some NFL comments, too. Hang on, Trey in Toronto. John in Edmonton. We'll get to those when we return. Mike Wilner coming up, by the way. Host of the Blue Jays Deep Left Field podcast. We're live on Game Plus TV, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina. It's March, it's madness! Capital GMC Buick Cadillac has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Capital has Sierra 1500s with rates starting as low as 1.49%. Over 400 new vehicles in stock. Or drive away in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. They all come with a 150-plus point inspection and a 3-month warranty. It's March, it's madness! On now at Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, Saskatchewan's #1 GM retailer, capitalgmc.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, welcome back to the RP Show, everybody. On this Tuesday, episode number 953 of your favorite daytime sports talk show is over halfway through the day. Big game day down here in South Florida tonight. Florida Panthers home to the Vegas Golden Knights. Moose's Leafs are at the New Jersey Devils. The Moose joins us from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, and you see the ad for Bet Regal's Bad Beats. Our exclusive betting partner and sportsbook is Bet Regal. And Moose, can you, before you talk about the Bad Beats, whether it be for yourself or someone we may know, can you explain what this new segment is on our program that we do every week?
Everything's going your way. You've got a real big bet that's about to cash, and at the last second, something unforeseen that should never happen happens, and you lose your bet. That's a bad beat. Something happens, and it comes out of left field in the very last minute, and you end up losing the whole ticket. So bad beats, that's what it is.
So, do you have one for the weekend, as you're such a betting guy?
I do, but it's not mine, as you winked. It comes from producer Clark. He actually was sharing the story in one of our morning meetings. Look at, he had a parlay going, which meant that a number of things had to happen in order for the ticket to cash. So he had 4 or 5 games, I believe it was, booked on Saturday for hockey, and he was rolling. He won all the early games, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all he needed to cash his hundreds of dollars in winnings was for the Toronto Maple Leafs to beat the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday night. They lead them by 30 points in the standings. Right? Going to the playoffs should be a 6-inch putt, but the Vancouver Canucks beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1, ruined the whole weekend, ruined the whole ticket, and that was the one, should have been the one gimme on the betting slip, turned out to be the one that caught him in the end.
Tell us your bad beats, everybody. Brought to you by Bet Regal. Couple things before we look around the schedule tonight. Troy in Toronto, big Packers fan, one of the biggest Packers fans I know. He says, I am so sick of the Aaron Rodgers speculation. Just trade the guy and move on. Rod, this distraction before mini camps start. Let us start learning to love. Dude, you're preaching to the choir. I've stopped talking about Aaron Rodgers, and to be honest, I've changed the channel. I don't understand, and maybe one day I will, the more time I spend in America. Why do they keep flogging the same thing every day? And I finally just said, I'm an idiot if I keep watching it. I know, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is getting some sadistic pleasure out of yanking everybody's chain. That's all I can think, Darren. Like, what's taking him so long?
I know. Again, we mentioned it, last week about how important it is for him to make the right decision and take all the time he needs. I know Packer fans want to know, but it's not like it's going to impact the season. It's not going to take that long. Every other team, whether it's the New York Jets or some other franchise that's going to make a move for Aaron Rodgers, they want to know too, sooner than later. So these meetings are happening. I think you need to stay patient if you're the Packers. I don't think that if Aaron Rodgers leaves, they're going to go out in free agency and find somebody. I don't think they're looking at giving up a bunch of assets to trade up for C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. So I think the alternative, if Rodgers isn't your quarterback, I think you're happy with Jordan Love. So there's no need to worry because you've got a backup plan already in place. So let the process happen. It's going to take maybe a little time, but it's not going to stretch into the season. You're going to be okay. There's no need to be anxious.
Darren just said that. I think the general manager, was it Gutenkirk? Did I say that right? He's probably not worried. Frustrated, probably is frustrated because there's a big, what's Aaron getting, $47 million a year? That's a lot of money that could be spread other places. You would like to plan, but free agency's in a week. And by the way, I just Googled 2023 top NFL free agents. This is from The Athletic. It was posted 19 hours ago. The top 2 players are quarterbacks, Derek Carr and Geno Smith. They've both been signed within the last 19 hours. So there's not a lot of quarterbacks left. The next 2 top players are Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys and Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders, 2 running back. So, Tampa might be looking to pull off a trade. Interesting comment or question here from John in Edmonton. He says, thoughts on Gary Bettman saying that there could be 2 possible new NHL teams coming, one back in Atlanta and somewhere else? I didn't see those comments, and I follow the NHL quite closely. Do you want to send us a link, John, before I comment on something that might be a waste of time? Did you see anywhere? I did a quick Google search, news search, and I don't see Gary Bettman talking about 2 new teams. Have you seen anything on it?
No, I really haven't. And haven't been following that storyline close at all in terms of who the two new teams might be or what the plan would be for expansion. Seems a little premature to be having that talk.
Yeah. I would love to see the NHL go back to Atlanta, where we air on the radio. That might be fun. And by the way, I do have some information to a degree on the sale of the Montreal Alouettes that I'll get to. But I am with you. If there's money to be made in terms of expansion fees, and they think that, let's just use Atlanta as an example, a third try there would work, I'd be all for it. I wasn't as deeply into hockey in the early 90s, because, dude, that was 30 plus years ago. But my dad was working in the NHL at the time. I don't remember the hockey people at that time complaining about how the caliber of play was going to be watered down. I don't remember them. I mean, it ended up happening, but I don't remember them being worried about it. Do you know what I mean? The 80s hockey, and I'm sure there was a big uproar when the original 6, when the NHL expanded to 12 teams. But it is what it is. But I would be shocked if even the greedy Gary Bettman and the greedy NHL owners would want to go past 32 teams. Now, moving franchises, different story.
Yeah.
But I don't think, what would lead you to believe that? Look, with Florida, there will be at least 16,000 people at the game tonight here in Sunrise. Quite frankly, when I first started coming to the games and there was only 5,000-6,000, suited me just fine. Easy to get out of the parking lot. No lineups at the concessions. Let's go.
I know.
So, and Arizona they're not clearly going anywhere, right? So why would we think
so? Unless
they're landing spots? Although T. Will in Winnipeg says, I heard about Atlanta maybe getting another team. And John in Edmonton says, by the way, an insider said it. Okay, well, then it must be true. T. Will in Winnipeg says, betting on the Leafs is never a good idea. Just ask every Leafs fan after round 1. LMAO. Leafs suck. That's from a guy in Winnipeg. Well, I gotta stop it now. We'll move on. Jennifer from the Four Seasons says, we need to know if Aaron's leaving. Because I'm sorry, Love is not ready. We'll need to find another quarterback. And Troy says that makes Rodgers even more valuable for trade equity if the top 2 free agent quarterbacks are signed. Jets can afford him. Bye, Aaron. That's the one thing I've never quite figured out. I've never got this. Back to the Kelly McCrimmon thing where he goes, we don't do anything different at the NHL level than we were doing in junior.
Yep.
Contract time, the general manager and the coach isn't usually interviewed around contract time, but the GMs and the media saying, this guy's not this, he's not that, he hasn't produced, he hasn't done that. So they fight over money, kind of what Aaron Rodgers has been doing for the last couple of years with the Packers. And then when they finally get a deal signed, they're supposed to be best friends. You're supposed to get over this that fast? Do you know what I mean?
Especially when you go to arbitration and they literally do it sitting across the table from each other. He's not worth it because he does this and he made this mistake and that mistake, to try and save money. And I get it. But then, then you're supposed to be best friends. It's hard to go back.
Well, I'm sorry. And that's why they have agents, of course. Okay, this from hockeyfeed.com. John in Edmonton has sent me the link. Insider's hint at 2 new NHL expansion teams. Well, to me right now, that's fake news. And I don't want to waste my or anybody else's time on that. Terry in Calgary says Houston is the other rumored team. Yes, but they've been talking about that for literally years. Remember when you and I were in Houston hosting a sports trip? We're looking around at the Toyota Center?
Yeah.
Toyota Center, Toyota Arena going, pretty good town. And let's remember, I've had some very good friends play hockey in Houston. They say it is a fabulous hockey community. You have the Houston Aeros. Gordie Howe played there. My good friends, Rich Preston. You hear me talk about Rico all the time. Shoot, his wife's from Houston. He met his wife there.
Yeah.
Todd McClellan coached there. Josh Harding played in Houston. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but what makes us believe that it's imminent? Okay, it's getting dumb here. We do have a lot of Winnipeg people tuned in, and I love them. But Randy in Winnipeg says, I heard the Ice will be fined $500,000 for not building the new arena when they move. That's the junior team. It was reported by Mike Sawatsky from the Winnipeg Free Press that they've already been fined $500,000. Then it was denied by the WHL. No, that's not true, the WHL said. Then we hear in another story from Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun, I believe, that they were fined. I'm out. Figure it out. I'm done. This is so stupid. Fake news. Done. Having said all of that, I did talk to my guy this morning. You know him. Florida football guy. One of the Florida football guys that I know. And he talked about the sale of the Alouettes, and he said that it's happening. The report within 24 hours, Quebecor. Frankly, I'm not versed in the Eastern Canadian, particularly Quebec, media circles, but Quebecor, the biggest media company in Quebec, I guess like Toronto's Bell, if you will, or maybe Mike Wilner can straighten this out next segment. But no, I want to talk Blue Jays with him. But they own the TV channel TVA. I got friends that work there. They're buying the Alouettes, and they're saying, well, it's a corporation, so this is good. The guy, is it Patino something? He is the richest man in Quebec, buying the Alouettes. So good. They got security. They're not going to have to piecemeal this thing together. It was a toy for Gary Stern and Sid Spiegel, and look what happened. There was a disaster. So give it to somebody with money. It's like the Pats and Brandt, and we never have to worry about them going belly up again. And that's really all I have to say about that. The other thing, my friend just said that they have spurned people from outside the province with more money, with more experience running sports teams. They really wanted local Quebec ownership. And frankly, I admire that.
Yeah, I'm in for that. A group in the province that's dedicated to growing. TVA's got a big presence in that market. Yeah, they don't have television rights for the Canadian Football League, but it doesn't mean that when a contract comes up again that they won't negotiate for some rights within the province for extra programming, extra content, things like that. It could be a good thing for the league in terms of media and attention because, you might be able to get more coverage, and hopefully it creates a little stability for that franchise.
Last one. John from St. Albert says, could Saskatchewan get an NHL hockey team? No, stop talking about it. We've addressed it 1,000 times. Just like the CFL going to Halifax, forget it, stop, it's getting dumb again. And I want to talk Blue Jays, something that actually matters and is going to happen. The Toronto Blue Jays in 2023 with Mike Wilner next. See you in overtime, Moose?
See you in OT.
All right, we're live on Game Plus Television. We're out live on YouTube streaming, iHeartRadio, your favorite podcast platform. And get your Blue Jays questions ready for Mike Wilner next, okay? 902-518-3033 is the number to reach me right in the South Florida studio. And we are live on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
It's March, it's madness! Capital GMC Buick Cadillac has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Capital has Sierra 1500s with rates starting as low as 1.49%. Over 400 new vehicles in stock. Or drive away in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. They all come with a 150 plus point inspection and a 3-month warranty. It's March, it's madness! On now at Capital GMC Buick Cadillac, Saskatchewan's #1 GM retailer, capitalgmc.ca. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little Blue Jays baseball, and I appreciate those who have written in with their questions for Mike Wilner from the Deep Left Field podcast, longtime host of Jays Talk, and, of course, Toronto Star columnist Mike Wilner joining us here in the midst of spring training. There he is from the T-Dot. Good to see you, Mike. I always appreciate your time, and I think the last time we were on, we mentioned that the Jays, pretty much every periodical I've seen, have them in the top 7 or 8 power rankings going into the year. Let me ask you this. What are the early returns in your mind from the first bit of spring training that we've seen down here in Florida?
I mean, I don't really pay much attention, to be honest, to like spring training results or who's doing what. The samples are so small. You're looking at pitchers who have 6 innings and hitters who have 11 at-bats and stuff like that. I believe that, you know, track record means a lot and who they are means a lot. And the really only important thing about spring training is health. And so far, pretty good for the Blue Jays. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has the little knee thing, but they don't think it's going to be a big issue. It was enough for him to skip the World Baseball Classic, which I think was the right move. And Brandon Belt hasn't gotten into a game yet, but I mean, this is a guy who's only had like 8 spring at-bats the last 2 years combined or something. So he's taking it easy and doing the things he feels like he needs to do. So they're healthy. Yusei Kikuchi has looked terrific. He's pitching right now. But again, it's 5 innings. So like, what can you really draw from that? For me, they're healthy and they're a really good team. So that's what matters.
Interesting you say that, because the questions that are coming in are regarding the new rules. Swerve in Calgary says this MLB season will be a joke for all ages, a race against the clock. That's his pun. What are your thoughts on the new rules? There have been quite a few.
Yeah, there are a few. And I think it's really overstated, a race against the clock. I mean, first of all, do we really need half an hour of hitters adjusting the Velcro on their batting gloves, of pitchers going for walks after every pitch, of a hitter calling timeout after every pitch. That's what we're losing. There's no racing at all. You'll notice if you're watching these games that 15 seconds can be a really long time. And look, I know, Rod, you worked in radio. I worked in radio. We know how long 15 seconds is, how long 8 seconds is, and how short it can be. But the batter has to be alert to the pitcher with nobody on base, with 8 seconds left on the clock, and the pitcher has those 8 seconds to decide when he wants to throw the pitch. And having watched a whole bunch of games, there's no racing. You don't notice the things that are gone because they were stupid to begin with. What we're going back to is where baseball was 30, 40 years ago, where they actually got on the mound and threw a pitch, where a hitter got in the box, where Mike Hargrove, who went on to be a great manager, but who was a first baseman of Cleveland in the 80s, he took forever between pitches. He would step out and he would put his bat between his legs and adjust his gloves and do all these little things, to the extent that his nickname was the human rain delay. And last year, about, I would say, 60 to 70% of major league hitters were as slow as Mike Hargrove. They didn't have nicknames because it was no longer notable. And now we're just going to see baseball. And I think it's fantastic. I'm sure the person who thinks it's going to be a race and baseball is going to be terrible loves the fact that there's no shift anymore, because it feels like that's the same sort of demographic that they're hitting there. So there's not going to be a shift. The bases are a little bigger, but not bigger enough, I don't think, to make a significant difference in base stealing, though they'll try more because of the pickoff rule. But I mean, I love the fact that batters can only call timeout once per at bat. That's my favorite of all the new rules.
Jen from the Four Seasons Sports Palace wants to know your thoughts on our bullpen this year, and whom are the best prospects in your opinion?
The best bullpen prospects or the best prospects for the team?
I would have guessed. I'm just reading what she said.
All right. Well, the bullpen, I think, I mean, people will be upset every time that they don't close down a game or give up a run. It feels like fans expect bullpens to have an ERA of 0, and it doesn't work that way. The bullpen is very, very, very good. Jordan Romano is one of the best closers in baseball, has been for a couple of years. He is backed up by Yimi Garcia and Anthony Bass and Eric Swanson and Tim Meza and Adam Simber. I mean, it's a really good, really deep bullpen, and we're not even talking about, Nate Pearson yet, who I think whatever he does will be gravy, but it could be really, 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 really tasty gravy. I mean, it's a very good bullpen. It's going to give up runs, and the Jays will blow some saves, and they will lose some games, but it's a very, very good bullpen. And as far as the prospects, I mean, if you don't mind me doing a little shameless self-promotion, check out the episode of Deep Left Field that's up there right now, episode 101. The latest one has conversations with Ricky Tiedemann and Addison Barger, who are the top 2 prospects on the team. Tiedemann is a 20-year-old left-hander who throws 97, 98, 99. One of the top left-handed pitching prospects in the game overall. Really, really exciting and having a terrific spring. He's going to pitch later today. Barger is a shortstop, third baseman that they're trying to work in some outfield. Really, really good hitter, tons of power. Hit it right out of the stadium down in Bradenton against the Pirates in the opening day of Grapefruit League play a couple of weeks ago. He's a lot of fun too. Very, very, very confident young man. Who will probably play in the major leagues at some point this year. Tiedemann might, maybe not, because he's so young and he's only had a little bit of work as high as AA, and they're being careful with his innings. But those are the top couple of prospects.
You said you knew radio, you know time. We've got 2 minutes. Lyle in Toronto says he's watching on Game Plus television right now. He says, very excited for this Jays season. My favorite player is Alejandro Kirk. Are he and Manoah the best pitcher-catcher duo in modern Blue Jays history?
I'm not quite sure what that means, but Alec Manoah is a really
You define modern, right?
Yeah, and best pitcher catcher duo. Like, I don't know. I mean, the Jays didn't really have a great catcher when Roy Halladay was here. So can you say like Halladay and Darren Fletcher were great? Fletcher was no Kirk, but Kirk is still only like 24, so he's got a lot of growing to do. It's certainly possible that it could grow into this great. I don't think of great pitcher catcher combos though. I mean, David Price and Russell Martin. Yeah, it's a weird thing for me to wrap my head around. I will say this: Alec Manoah had one of the greatest seasons that any Blue Jay pitcher has ever had last year, and it was his first full season in the major league. So that's extraordinarily exciting. And Alejandro Kirk, in his first full season in the major leagues, had one of the best seasons that any Blue Jay catcher has ever had. So yeah, they're on that track for sure.
Yeah, it's not something you normally talk about, but I mean, you could throw out Todd Stottlemyre and Pat Borders. What the hell?
No,
they're all good.
I would not.
Troy,
I would not
last one. Troy in Toronto, last one. I have a very important question for Mike. When I'm in Clearwater in a few weeks for spring training, what are the best places to eat in the area? You've become Yelp, Mike.
Yeah, well, you know what? Go to Lenny's for breakfast. It's on Highway 19, just south of the Phillies Stadium. It's only open Wednesday to Sunday, and it's only open till 3 p.m. So you got to hit Lenny's. Clearwater Beach has a bunch of really good places to eat. Everybody seems to like Shepherd's. There's a place called Columbia Restaurant on Sand Key that is wonderful. Yeah, those are three good ones. And Kobe in Dunedin. I've run into a Blue Jay at least 4 times eating there. So there you go.
Kobe?
Yep.
All right.
Kobe.
And Troy, the original Hooters is in Clearwater as well.
Yes,
Mike, hey, enjoy this season. I hope to chat with you throughout.
Thanks, Rod. Always happy to be here.
Mike Wilner doing great things with the Deep Left Field podcast and covering the Toronto Blue Jays in a variety of platforms. Give them a follow. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. The Golden Knights hate continues. We'll get some messages there, too. We'll talk about that as the Golden Knights are here in Sunrise tonight. I can't wait for this game. I haven't looked forward to a game like this in quite some time. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus TV, live streaming on YouTube, as you know, and on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE, The Key.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
It's March. It's madness. Capital Ford has gone mad with crazy low pricing throughout the store. Save up to $7,000 on a brand new F-150. They have over 150 available right now. Or drive home in a new to you used vehicle. Plus, Capital Ford offers the highest guaranteed trade-in value, or they'll give you $500 cash. Get your hands on a new ride before they come to their senses. On now at Capital Ford. Visit CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for 25, 3 for 60, or 10 for 100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are live for Overtime, proudly brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Hockey League. Darren Moose Dupont joins us. Moose, I'm going to combine this Hour 2 sports update with a sponsor. How about this? This came down this morning. The Canadian International returns in 2023. The $750,000 turf event for 3-year-olds and up wasn't held in 2022, but will be run October 8th at Woodbine Racetrack. It will cover 1.25 miles over the EP Taylor turf course instead of 1.5 miles. Woodbine will open its 133-day meet April 22nd. It will conclude December 10th. This 2023 race season at Woodbine will also feature 2 $1 million races, including the King's Plate on August 20th to open the OLG Canadian Triple Crown. It'll be followed by the $400,000 Prince of Wales Stakes on September 12th at Fort Erie Racetrack, with the final jewel, the $400,000 Breeders' Stakes turf race, slated for October 1st at Woodbine. That was just announced this morning from our good friends at Woodbine Entertainment. And the sports update is for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, #1 at the box office. Head down there and check out what all the fuss is about. Troy in Toronto wanted to know, boy, I don't know if you saw the interview with Mike Wilner, but Troy asked him for good eating spots in Clearwater. Mike was on it, like on it now. He had them all. And I said, well, the original Hooters is in Clearwater. And Troy goes, love me some Hooters. So there's that. Clark said, this is interesting. And where there's smoke, there's fire with Clark. He would not have told me this if he didn't think it was actually believable. Apparently, the Atlanta Falcons and the Baltimore Ravens have something cooking. Breaking rumor. That wasn't the exact term that Clark used, but it was something like that. The Falcons and Ravens might have something cooking for Lamar Jackson. Today's the deadline to franchise tag him or non-exclusive tag him. And again, I don't know. I'm caught somewhere in this netherworld, Darren, of being the old staunch codger, like those old football and hockey guys that are like, get out of here with this stuff. Don't matter. Or the fans that are like, gimme more. Because I was the guy stirring it up, right? when I was the voice of the Riders and the Pats for all those years, this is the hype, this is the buzz, this is what sells tickets, this is what gets people interested. I'm trapped in the purgatory of caring and not caring. And I feel like you're very much in the caring segment of that.
Yeah, I am, because I like thinking about all the different possibilities, even if most of them don't ever end up turning out to be true. But the Lamar Jackson thing, I think there is some smoke here. Not just with Atlanta, but with other franchises as well. I think there's a lot of turmoil right now and animosity between the Ravens and Lamar. I think, the way he ended last season with the injury and not being with the team, and, he wants to get paid, but, the value there. I think there's a lot of tension between the two sides. And now looking at trade partners, it could just be negotiation tactics, but it could be that they're actually looking to shop one of the most electrifying players in the National Football League.
Well, you wonder how these networks could fill hours a day. It's with talk like this. And to be honest, it's not even fast food. It's trucker. It's gas station food. You know what I mean? Like, it's something you pull out of the fridge at the truck stop. But people just, that's delicious food, by the way. Not saying anything about truck stops.
But at least at the fast food joint, they're making it to order. At the gas station, they make it in the morning and it sits there all day long.
And people buy it.
Yes.
So, but my thing is, it's like, then make a decision. It's like Nike with just do it. I remember, my mom and my dad, who unfortunately you never had the opportunity to meet my dad. I think you met my mom. But I remember one time they were dilly-dallying over something. And finally my dad just turned in the kitchen. He's like, just do it. I'm going to get you a shirt that says, just do it. You know what? I sound like Costanza's dad, George Costanza, down here in Del Boca Vista. But then just do it. Because clearly Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks had enough of each other. And they broke it off. And look who won in that one. The Seahawks, clearly. They have their guy. And Denver's struggling with Russell Wilson. But make the decision. Like, Lamar didn't travel with the team for their last game last year, Lamar Jackson. And he's from last minute of play on the RP show. Lamar's from Pompano Beach, was like 15 miles away from here. When I do the show from the beach house, that's where Lamar Jackson's from. He doesn't even have an agent, which tells me he would have to be a very smart guy. Have you seen these NFL contracts? Are the size of a phone book? Yeah. He's either really dumb representing himself or he's really smart with having the ability to decipher what's in that contract. Man. Fun. Just do it. Allie in Texarkana, great show today, Rod. Thanks for having Brian on. It's always a treat for me. Troy in Toronto says, Wilner's Restaurants picks check out. From Ryan in New York. Anyway, enjoy your day, everyone. I hope you enjoy whichever sports you watch tonight. Same for you, Moose. Thank you. Great job today.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. And the rest of you, noon Eastern, here on Game Plus. And the key.
Who has more fun than us?
I like it. Hoorah! Hot. LFG. Let's go. Bingo. Spicy. Beautiful. Hell yes. Approved. That's hot. Oh, good one, Rod. Bob's your uncle. Hot take. LFG.